Hey folks, this is Crazyhouse, and I'm finally back to do another Fan Art Friday for you guys. Today I'm going to be drawing the Unstoppable Juggernaut in my sketchbook. I will do him in pencil and inks, and then I'll color him over with some alcohol-based markers. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Before I get to the actual drawing of the Juggernaut, let me just give you guys a quick little update on my personal health. And I will say that I am doing a lot better since I had my chest surgery and I had that mass removed from my chest. I am still doing a lot of recovery exercises, making sure that I'm breathing. And I will say that I am breathing a lot better and doing a lot better on that end. I still get a little bit winded if I do a lot of physical activity, so I'm taking it easy when I do my cardio exercises during the day and just not doing as much as I normally did before I had the surgery. But we're working on that. That's just something that will take time to do over the summer. But I'm glad I had the summertime to do that. And, thank you all who sent me very kind messages when I got out of the hospital. I appreciate you all. I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me, and I hope to get back to doing more art videos on a regular basis as time goes on. So thank you all for sticking with me and supporting me. It is summertime, and your kids are out of school, so maybe you want to have some content for them to give them a great distraction during the summertime. If you don't want their face in front of a tablet or the TV all summer, you can go ahead to my store and get them some Crazyhouse comic books, or you can also get some coloring books that are also available on my online store. The links will be in the description box as well as the comment section. And the brand new Big Monty book is now available on Amazon. It's called Big Monty and the Malicious Music Teacher, and you can buy that in hardcover or in softcover. Now the hardcovers are starting to run out, but I'm sure more will be resupplied very soon. But if you want a hardcover edition of Big Monty and the Malicious Music Teacher, go get one now while you can. Okay, I'm very proud of this book. It came out very well. I think both the author and the other creative team members and I did a great job on this book, and it's a very fun read. So I highly recommend it, and go pick it up. And when you do get it, make sure you give a good review of it on Amazon, so that way it can get higher up in the algorithm. So those are my plugs for right now, and I'm going to jump right into doing the Unstoppable Juggernaut. So as I'm drawing, as always, doing on Fan Art Fridays, I like to give a little history of the character and my experiences with the character. The Juggernaut is a character that I'm very familiar with, even when I was a little boy, because he was in a lot of the original Marvel cartoons. The first time I saw the Juggernaut was on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. It was the episode where you get a flashback of Firestar and how she became, how she awoke into her powers as a mutant. And I think they were having like an X-Men class reunion. They, retconned her as a member of the X-Men, and she was going to have like her and Iceman were going to have the little reunion. And the Juggernaut just shows up in town and starts tearing things up. And Spider-Man has to fight him by himself for a while, but then they finally get together with the entire X-Men team to stop the Juggernaut. So for those who don't know anything about the character, his real name is Cain Marko. He is the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, so they're not blood related, but they're just related through marriage. And Cain Marko has always hated and been very jealous of his brother Charles, because Charles was always smart, Charles was always a good person, and Cain is basically just a big dumb bully. And that's what he's always been, even when they were children. And when he got older, he hated his brother so much that he wanted to find a way to get back at him, and especially the fact that his brother's a mutant. That's another thing a lot of people and comic book fans and maybe others are a little confused about. That the Juggernaut is actually not a mutant. I know for the movies, the X-Men movies, they've tried to retcon it and make it seem like he is a mutant, but he is not. His powers are based in magic, and that's how Cain Marko, he found the Crimson Bands of Sidorak and merged with that and became the Unstoppable Juggernaut. So like I said, his powers are based on magic, and they still keep that within the comic realm, but like I said, in the movies and some of the cartoons, they've tried to retcon it and say the Juggernaut is a mutant. Even in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, I think that version of the Juggernaut is actually a mutant as well, but the original one is all magic-based powers, and his basic power is that he is unstoppable, based on the actual definition of the word Juggernaut, if you go look it up in the dictionary. So he can basically just run through anything and not be stopped. He's super strong, probably one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Universe. And, you know, even though he's mostly known as a villain of the X-Men, the Juggernaut has appeared in other comics and has fought other Marvel heroes. In my opinion, some of the best fights he's had is actually against Thor. You know, Thor's powers are magic based as well, so having him fight against the Juggernaut were always good issues to read. I always have fun reading when they had their fights, and one of them is one of my favorites from Thor. I can't remember what number that book was, but it was their rematch, and they fought on an alien world that the Juggernaut had basically taken over, because Thor had thrown him into space knowing that he couldn't stop or kill the Juggernaut. He decided to banish him into space, and the Juggernaut landed on another planet and basically took over. So then Thor felt responsible, and they had another fight on that planet. And the cool part was Thor figured out that part of the Juggernaut's power base is that he has a force field around him that can't be broken through. But Thor figured out, using the magic of his hammer, that you can take away that force field for a little bit, and he was able to fight the Juggernaut just kind of one-on-one without the force field protecting him. So like I said, it was a very good fight. If you can find this issue in the backlogs, I highly recommend it. I have the original first print copy in my comic collection still. As far as drawing the Juggernaut, I would always recommend that you draw him very large and bulky, the same way I recommended when drawing the Hulk and the Thing. You know, I think the Juggernaut actually works better when you kind of keep that bulky look to him and not try to make him too muscular or like a bodybuilder. I know that's kind of the go-to, but the Juggernaut is such a weird design. It's hard to do that because he has that very large helmet. So it's weird. Like, I know a lot of artists, when they draw him, they cheat a little bit. A good example of the cheating, if you go look at the way Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane drew the Juggernaut, because his face really should not be able to fill that entire space where his helmet is, you know, based on how the helmet design is. But like I said, a lot of artists cheat by, you know, spacing his eyes apart. Like, if he actually took off that helmet, his face would look weird based on how people draw him. So always don't try to do it anatomically correct, in my opinion, because that's the wrong way to go too. Some people try to make the character look too realistic. You really can't do that because he's not a realistic character. That's why I thought the movie version of Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 was probably the best movie version we've seen, because they didn't even try to make it seem like this is a real life character. They even made him completely CG. So that's kind of the route you have to go when you make a character like this. Don't try to think about reality. Don't try to think about too much, you know, anatomical correctness, because you're not going to get it right if you draw it. A good example of how the Juggernaut probably should be drawn is if you go look at the X-Men versus Capcom games, how the Japanese took to drawing the Juggernaut. they understood it. So that artist that did the concept art for that game, he understood what he was doing when he drew the Juggernaut. Like, he's just completely huge. He's almost big and blocky. And like I said, the character does not fit anywhere in the realm of normal human dynamics. And like I said, if that's the way you want to draw it, do it that way. Don't try to draw too much realism into the character, because like I said, you only confuse yourself and you'll confuse the people looking at your work trying to draw it the right, anatomically correctly. Even in the shot that I'm doing here, this shot is more of if a normal human was looking up at the Juggernaut and his hand is kind of coming at you like he's basically about to squash your head. Because like I said before earlier about his character, he's a bully. He's definitely not a nice person at all. He's probably not the smartest character either. He is conniving, but he's not a big brain, super intelligent character. They always used to pair him up with characters that were a little bit smarter than he was, so that way he would, he'd almost be like the muscle. So a lot of times they would team him up with Black Tom Cassidy for a long time, who was I think he's the cousin of Banshee. So they have very similar type powers or whatever, or Black Tom uses powers with his cane or whatever, but he would always be hanging out with the Juggernaut. They were kind of like a duo for a very long time. So that's the kind of, like I said, because his character was not that smart, they would always pair him up with someone who was a little bit smarter, and the Juggernaut would kind of just be the muscle for that character. So that's basically all the basics of the Juggernaut. If you have any questions about how to draw the character, or there are any artists that you appreciate or love and how they drew the character, you can always put that down in the comments section. Or if you have just any questions just for me personally about how I'm doing or my artwork, you can always ask me in the comments section, and I'll do my best to answer you as quickly as possible. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me here on Fan Art Friday, and I hope to be back with some more fun stuff all summer long. Anyway, Crazyhouse signing out. Peace.